What is morality? Is there any absolute moral standard?
When facing controversial topics like euthanasia and abortion, how do we determine whether what is right or what is wrong?
Today, we will explore the ethical dilemmas in medicine and law from the perspective of moral relativism.
And we will focus on two key topics, which are euthanasia and abortion.
Now, let us get into the medical and legal scenarios and see how moral relativism can affect our judgment. Let's go.
Moral relativism argues that moral standards are not absolute, but depends on culture, history, and social context.
This means that different societies may have completely different moral judgments on the same issue. For example, in some cultures, euthanasia is seen as a way to respect patients' dignity, while in others, euthanasia is considered as a violation to the sanctity of life.
Similarly, abortion is seen in some society as a fundamental right for women, while in others, it is viewed as a morally wrong.
Next, we will delve into this issue through medical and legal scenario. So the patient is under very critical conditions now. She can't bear with the pain anymore. And in our country, euthanasia is legal. And if you proceed, she might pass away very peacefully without any suffering. So, but I need your consent as a family. I know it's very difficult, and I understand that it's not that easy, but we need to consider what is the best for the patient.
How can you even suggest this? This is murder. We have no right to decide on someone's death. No matter how she suffers, we should do our best to save her.
I understand. But have you considered about them? If they could speak, would they choose to suffer like this? Some pain is just too much for them. We have to choose to respect their opinions rather than just force our beliefs on them.
I've had enough. Every moment is agony. There's no meaning in living like this. I don't want to be a burden anymore. If I could choose, I'd rather live peacefully than suffer like this. So, please don't argue again. Just let me go.
In such situation, what should doctors do? Should we uphold the absolute values of life, or should we respect patients' pain and wishes?
Moral relativism emphasizes the influence of culture and context on ethical decision making. In some countries, like the Netherlands, Belgium, Switzerland, and Canada, euthanasia is considered legal because it respects individual autonomy. Patients can choose a dignified end to their suffering. In contrast, moral universalism holds that life is paramount and sacred, and no matter the circumstances, it must be preserved. In this world, many countries still ban euthanasia. For example, in Malaysia and China, euthanasia is prohibited, even if the patients are in unbearable pain. Throughout this scenario in the hospital, we can see that without moral relativism, patients would be forced to endure endless suffering. Moral relativism allows the medical system to respect individuals' dignity and human rights.
Order. Today we decide whether abortion should be legalized. We must balance women's right against fetus right. Loyalty, please begin your argument.
Your Honor, I think that abortion should be legalized. Law is never that rigid. It does not operate under a framework to determine right and wrong. So, morality should not be so absolute.
Ridiculous! A fetus has the right to live. Legalizing abortion is basically supporting a murder. Killing is always false, no matter what.
Calm down, Lawyer B. Women have the absolute right to control their own bodies and reproductive choice. So in some cases, legalized abortion can benefit women that experience involuntary pregnancy, such as my client E.
This pregnancy is a reminder of my trauma. I don't want this baby. Legalizing abortion will give women like me a chance to heal. It's the only fair option for us. Please.
Moral relativism teaches that laws are not absolute. In this case, the right of the victim to autonomy, dignity, and mental well-being outweigh abstract principle of the victim rights. I therefore rule in favor of legalizing abortions with appropriate safeguards.
This case highlights the conflict between moral universalism and relativism. Universalists believe that morality is absolute and unchanging, advocating that life must be protected at all costs. Relativists, on the other hand, argue that morality should be flexible, adapting to individual circumstances and societal needs. This tension is evident in the recent abortion rights movement in Missouri. Since 2022, the state has imposed an almost total ban on abortion, allowing exceptions only in medical emergencies. In response, Missourians for Constitutional Freedom launched a petition to legalize abortion before fetal viability, gathering over 38,000 signatures in just 3 months, far exceeding the required threshold. Their success reflects a strong demand for reproductive rights. Meanwhile, opponents like Missouri Stands with Women insist that abortion in any form is immoral. However, to adopt today's world, law must be evolved alongside society, striking a balance between tradition and progress. This debate is not unique to Missouri. Similar petitions are challenging strict abortion laws worldwide, such as the Green Wave movement in Latin America and Ireland repeals of its abortion ban through a public referendum. These efforts demonstrate that legal systems should not cling to outdated moral codes but should instead respond to shifting social values. But there is a question: who decides what is right? Should morality be dictated by fixed principle or shaped by life experience? This debate is far from over and countless lives are at stake. Missouri resident Sam Havikhorst, who had an abortion in 2015, recalled that legal barriers at the time made her feel as if the government was ensuring the process was as painful as possible at every step. Her experience underscored that laws should be based on not only on abstract moral principle but also on the real-life circumstances of those they affect. Ultimately, the legal system must recognize the role of moral relativism in policy making. Only by integrating the genuine societal needs and personal experience can laws become more just, humane, and adaptable to the complexities of modern society.
Through the medical and legal scenarios, we have seen how moral relativism influences our perspective on euthanasia and abortions.
It reminds us that moral standards are not absolute but shaped by culture and society.
However, this doesn't mean that we can ignore the moral responsibility.
We must respect cultural diversity while applying critical thinking to make
rational moral judgments. We hope today's discussion has provoked some more thoughts within you. Thanks for watching.
What is morality? Is there any absolute moral standard?
And we will focus on two key topics, which are euthanasia and abortion. Now, let us get into the medical and legal scenarios and see how moral relativism can affect our judgment. Let's go.